Quickly before we get started, I wanted to thank you guys for the success of the last video. It means a lot. So thank you again for all that. I didn't want to do anything this time that was too depressing, so I decided to talk about another thing that was near and dear to my heart, and that's gaming. So this will be interesting. As we know, as you know, gaming's kind of been on the decline, and a lot of places are doing the absolute worst possible thing for their bottom line, which makes zero sense to me, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just a consumer, I suppose. So one of the things that was coming out, and that did come out, was Dragon Age the Veilguard, and I haven't played it. I forgot Dragon Age was an actual thing, but apparently it's so good that they had to come out with what, like the second or third one, and apparently it's like a Concord level event. If you don't know about Concord, correct. Either way, don't want to take up too much of your time. Let's continue.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So today we're going to be once again talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard, which released about a week ago, and now that it's had the full weekend to spread its wings and achieve its full potential, we now know that full potential is around 89,000 concurrent players. This game failed to reach over 100,000 in-game players at any given moment, which is a big disappointment. Don't let games journalists or anyone else convince you otherwise. This is a very
just to be sure, we all know that game journalists are garbage, right? So I don't have to go through that, right? We all know that if the game journalist is saying that the game is good, chances are the game is not good. Also, what the fuck is this? This probably has something to do with the story. But yeah, damn. Nigga's got a brick of meatloaf for a forehead. Look at this. That's crazy. Again, it probably has something to do with like the creatures in the game, but like Jesus Christ.
Very successful and long-running franchise with a huge baked-in audience and a massive budget for this game. This is not the number they were expecting. This is a disappointing number, especially when you compare it to other AAA titles from this year, like Black Myth Wukong, that got nearly 2.5 million concurrent players for its all-time peak, and compare that to the 89,000 with Veilguard. And looking at the current numbers right now,
let's take a look. Let's take a look. Oof. That's not good. That's no bueno. Let me turn this up real quick. That's no bueno.
Sitting at about 55,000 in-game players, which is obviously disappointing. It's not even been a full week from the release, and it's already starting to taper off. And that is not good news for Veilguard. And on top of that, we're getting some reports from Endymion here saying a source he knows who works in the retail space with a major store with over 900 locations in America is claiming there is a mass level of cancellations of physical copies, saying this: so around 14 to 15% of each version of Veilguard was canceled in the last few days by customers across these 900 stores within America alone. And apparently the digital copies are also not good as well. Below 500,000 pre-orders for that, just the digital copy, but the physical copies is close to 200,000, and also it has this high rate of cancellations. This is not a good sign for Veilguard, and to further prove that things are not going very well,
on Tavern Dragon Age the Veilguard by BioWare. Yep, George Yang of Rolling Stone reported on Halloween. The Dragon Age Veilguard now complete. BioWare confirms that they are currently. I know I have a hard time reading, but I'm going to read this very slowly because I feel like I'm reading it wrong. The Veilguard now complete. BioWare confirms that there are currently no plans for a downloadable expansion. Fuck, what is wrong with me, bro? He added, developers' full attention has now shifted entirely to the next Mass Effect as their current project. So from what I'm understanding, Mass Effect was pretty good, except for Andromeda. Apparently Andromeda was garbage. I don't really know why, but whatever. So that's pretty cool. But I mean, if they give this treatment to this game will be bad. I feel like we all can understand that, right? We don't have to explain that to anybody. We all already understand that. But fair enough. The subsequent report from Kat Bailey at IGN did detail that BioWare is not completely abandoning Dragon Age. Following its release, it will support the game with quality of life improvements and a handful of smaller content updates. Alright, fair. That sucks, but whatever.
BioWare appears to be just giving up on Veilguard. So in an interview with IGN as well as Rolling Stone, they have confirmed that they're essentially moving on from Dragon Age the Veilguard.
But not completely, not completely.
And they're basically rerouting their resources in the company to the next Mass Effect game. That is now their new focus. They're already abandoning Veilguard 1 week in, and they're saying that basically there's going to be no DLCs, there's going to be no more major updates for this game. They're simply going to provide quality of life improvements and basically bug fixes. They are quite literally abandoning this game 1 weekend, and yet people are trying to tell you this was some big commercial.
Yeah, funny. I bet you this guy's wife's boyfriend got this for him. Anyway, leave the company, great. I don't know, but apparently I heard that was great. I don't know what that is. This game, of course, Baldur's Gate. Yeah. These numbers aren't looking good. Well, this one isn't. These numbers looking fine. This number ain't looking all that good. But yeah, you hate to see a picture put in your blood, sweat, and tears into something, and everyone's just kind of like unanimously, this is garbage. And damn.
Success when clearly it was a big disappointment. This is a game with predictably hundreds of millions of dollars in its budget, with a baked-in franchise, and it's just falling flat on its face within the first week. It's just not good. And we're seeing a lot of games journalists coping and trying to find ways to spin the numbers to make it look like Veilguard was a big success. And you can see, of course, Kotaku here saying Dragon Age the Veilguard surprises everyone as EA's biggest single-player launch on Steam. Now, if you're at all knowledgeable with EA and how they do things, especially with single-player games, they typically wait years to release the counterpart on Steam. An example of that being Dragon Age Inquisition. They released that 6 years after the initial release. It came to Steam 6 years later. Of course, it's not going to perform as well as the initial launch, and a lot of journalists have been comparing the rates at which people had participation on Steam with Inquisition versus Veilguard, like, wow, what an increase. But they're, of course, ignoring the fact that it came out 6 years later. And as Smash JT points out here, in the article itself, Kotaku is coping very hard. They cite a vocal minority who continues to downplay the significance of the number.
That's interesting how they say it's a vocal minority, when if you were to look at his, I wouldn't be surprised if Smash JT had a video on it. If you look at his video on it, if you go to the comments, because these people don't delete comments, right? If you went to that and you'd look and it's like, ooh, yeah, damn, everyone just kind of agrees that this was garbage. So I don't know what you expect to happen, but yeah, this vocal minority seems to really be fucking up your game, bro. It's almost like it's a majority. Who knows? But I am but a humble nigga.
Claiming that Monster Hunter Wilds beta test outperforms the full Dragon Age release. Well, it did. That is just a fact. The beta for Monster Hunter Wilds had around 400,000 in-game players. Yes, it is a beta. It's not free to play, but that number completely crushed Veilguard when it really shouldn't have. There should have been way more enthusiasm for Veilguard, but it just wasn't there. But again, we have to deal with these journalists and their allies trying to do everything to tell you you're wrong for criticizing Veilguard, while they don't really stand behind anything they're saying.
That's right. Hey, this dude, proving yet again that these people never show up to support the games they advocate for. On God, why are you begging for a code? Go buy Dragon Age Veilguard to support the devs. Why are these dummies always like this? Concord, Suicide Squad. Oh God, Dustborn. I literally tried playing Dustborn. I have 2 parts of it up on my goddamn channel, bro, and I just can't get through it. It is just so agonizingly tedious. But I digress. The list goes on. They get mad when these games fail, but they're never there to buy them or support the devs. Buy the game or shut up if it fails, because you couldn't be bothered to vote with your wallet. Pathetic. Speaking facts, this man has not a single incorrect statement in this entire tweet. Good on him.
You can see Khalif Adams here, who is someone we've talked about before, a big defender of games journalists, begging people in his field for a code for this game. Basically saying, I don't want to pay for this game, so give me a code. they don't really stand by anything they're doing. If you actually cared about this game and BioWare, you would go out and buy a copy unless you can't afford it. And in that case, I would recommend spending less time on Twitter.
I mean, makes sense. He's a liberal. They're poor. Oh my god.
Well, there's reasons.
Someone's gonna get really mad at that. I'm gonna have to act like I give a fuck, bro. Like, I don't like either side. I make fun of both sides, but come on now. And they say the game is not woke propaganda. I just discovered this while reading the codex entries. Ooh.
Why this game failed, and one of them is because this game is woke. In fact, it is one of the wokest games we've seen in quite some time, and it's really off-putting to a lot of people, and that is reflected in this recent bombshell reported yesterday, where this user found what appears to be some notes that the team accidentally left into the PC version of this game. People are trying to guess as to what happened here, and some people are saying these are notes based on what they kind of are claiming what these characters would think or view themselves or other characters, saying notes like that these characters are trans, and trans means was other gender, then changed, wait, no, was always new thing, just now acknowledged, not changing, affirming, trans woman is woman. And over here talking about characters being non-binary and trying to correct and inform people on what being gender fluid is, and so on and so forth. And with the very...
Honestly, I don't care about most of this. I just really care that the game was good, but from a lot of the things that I've been reading, it's like the dialogue, and they apparently like hammer this shit home when you're playing the game, which is why people didn't like it, from what I've been told. So, but then again, I've never played a Dragon Age game, so, but from what I've heard, people really seem to like it. So the fact that this came out just seems really, really unlike them. I'm supposing. Oh well, couldn't be me. I just like listened to people.
Shoddy grammatical errors and all this stuff, and just the ridiculous nature of what we're reading here for basically something to be included in a AAA release. Myself and a lot of people just said, this is fake. Like, someone's doing a psyop here. They're trying to set you up. This has happened in the past where people who support woke games, they try to put out fake evidence and fake claims, and just they hope that people will believe it, and they say, aha, gotcha, chud, you didn't do your research, which is very strange because the fact that people will believe just about anything at this point shows how bad the current state of the gaming industry is. But anyways, there is proof out there definitively that this is actually in the game. So this is a screen recording of what's going on, and as you can see, this whole set of notes will pop up right on the side here, and you can see it reflects the actual notes that we were just looking at in the previous tweet. And some people have come forward, like Mark Kern, who's a veteran of the industry, and said their kind of thought process about what this might be. And as he says, it appears to be writer's notes that were just kind of accidentally slipped into the game, more like a diary that is explaining kind of how they view their characters and what their mindset might be in regards to certain things like their identity. But it accidentally slipped into the game, which is hard to believe. Like, how does something like that slip into a AAA release as big as Veilguard? It almost seems...
I wouldn't say how could it slip, because like let's be honest here. Games that have been releasing, a lot of them, especially from like big bucks publishers and shit like that, have been kind of garbage. There's just a lot of stuff in them that you'd think that wouldn't be in them, or there's a lot of shit that are should have been in them that aren't. Like we were just looking at Helldivers 2. There was a couple of things in there, like I think it was like a scoreboard or something like that, that I vaguely remember that they didn't have, and they had to end up patching that. But then I know Battlefield had something like that in like 2042 when they released that. They were supposed to have that in there, and they didn't. And there's just so it's not really surprising that stuff like this would just end up in a game. But also at the same time, it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of people that don't like this type of stuff. So I mean, hey man, you guys got caught yet again doing something a lot of people don't like. So I wonder how they're going to defend this. You ready for this? You ready for this mental gymnastics that they're about to do?
Intentional, and as he points out here, one of the writers on the team is transgender, so it might make sense that these sorts of things slip through, but we don't have any confirmation that that was the particular writer responsible for those notes. But there's another reason why Veilguard is failing so hard, and it's because of the writing and also the voice acting as well. Okay, some of the writing in this game is just beyond atrocious. The writing is so juvenile and pandering, it's actually insulting to people. Like, I cannot believe some of the things.
Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. It's really the dialogue was garbage. I did also hear a couple things about the voice acting was terrible, but then again, I didn't really like scroll through Twitter and look at all the clips. But I mean, if this is, seems like genuine criticism. But I mean, I don't know what am I? I'm just a chud. Whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean.
They're trying to include in this game. And to prove that, let's watch another clip. Pretty much every time I cover Veilguard, I show another clip that I think, surely it can't get worse than this. Well, here is the latest clip. Let's check it out.
Sounds like your mother was hard on you.
Nah.
I think your fingers are just perfect.
Yeah. So... Are you trying to have sex with me?
Nigga, what?
Hadn't really thought that far ahead, but maybe?
Quick, think about us having sex.
What the fuck is this? I don't assault maybe. I don't know. Everything about that just didn't seem normal or natural at all. Like that was my god. Okay, I'm starting to see why people don't. This isn't. There isn't a lot of this, right? I hope not. God damn, that was fucking awful. Okay, wait.
Is this what woke people find funny, or sexy, or both? I don't really know.
It was supposed to be romantic. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I like doing that. It was supposed to be romantic, like spontaneous romance, I suppose. I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around it because I'm just like picturing if that was just a dude, he's in jail. If that was a dude, whatever the fuck this thing is, if that was a dude, he'd be in jail. That was the creepiest shit I've ever heard. I've heard a lot of creepy shit. Ugh.
You can't tell me this is good writing. You can't tell me this is good voice acting. It's a joke. It sounds really, really bad. And honestly, the main focus being the writing.
You know, it kind of sounds like one person recorded their lines in one place, and then like the next day, somebody else recorded their lines, and like they couldn't hear the recording of the first person to record their lines, so they just kind of like guessed. And it seems like way more AI-ish sounding. It just sounds incredibly unnatural. Also, the dialogue was completely unnatural, and this is just, you spent so much money to make this. Like, why? You couldn't have just hired voice. Like, I don't even want to say it's the voice actor's fault, but like, you couldn't have just hired somebody to like look over the dialogue and just be like, yeah, this is like garbage, bro.
That is what is different between Veilguard and other games that have woke aspects but succeed. I mean, a lot of people have been bringing up Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, Baldur's Gate 3, especially in the character creation process, has things that people will label as woke. However, that's where it ends. The character creation process, the game itself, and the writing, most importantly, is really, really good. That's why people enjoy the game and they can get over that other stuff. And right now, Baldur's Gate 3 has a higher concurrent player count than Veilguard that just released only a few days ago. Now, what's interesting is Thomas Mahler would give his opinion on the writing of Veilguard, and if you forgot who Thomas Mahler is, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago. Basically, there was a woke influencer on Twitter trying to falsely claim that she worked for one of the games he was the director of. And he would go on Twitter and clarify that she does not work or never worked for him or his companies, and that her behavior online is something they don't want associated with any of their products or their companies.
Damn.
And of course, in response to that, Kotaku's Alyssa Mercante would call him a dickhead for correcting the record, but that's another story. But anyways, he would add some thoughts to this, talking about how growing up in the 80s, even as a young boy, he always thought that TV shows were low-effort trash. Then over time, there was some more pushing of boundaries and quality improvements, where in the late 90s, television started to improve with its quality and its writing. But looking at games now, he says, it's clear to see that we're apparently moving back to the Stone Age of political correctness.
Damn.
I just watched a Dragon Age playthrough, and it's quite unfathomable how infantile and terrible the writing is. everything feels sanitized and dehumanized.
That's another thing. I couldn't think of the word at the time. Yeah, dehumanized. They don't feel like people. Like they don't like. I mean, obviously it's fucking Dragon Age. They're not. All of them aren't actual people. They're whatever the hell they are. But like, they don't. It's like two. It would be like if you were to take two rudimentary AI and be like, talk to each other, and try to get each other to have sex. That's what that conversation right there was. So apparently all of the writing is like this. Jesus. That's bad.
I don't know why we're suddenly thinking that this is okay. Your job as a writer is to write about things that are heartfelt, interesting, and true, to draw people into that world that you created. And if this is the best that you can come up with, you shouldn't be a writer in the first place. And he has some more thoughts, but you kind of get the gist at this point. He is absolutely dunking on these writers for Veilguard because he should. He is someone who's very successful in the industry and knows what good writing looks like. And he's looking at the pandering and infantile writing of Veilguard and saying, that is not acceptable for a AAA release. So, yeah, I will not buy what these journalists are trying to say about Veilguard. This game is a massive flop. And it deserves it because it's low quality, it's woke beyond belief, and combining those things together, it's not surprising this game is a massive disappointment. And yeah, that's really where Veilguard is at the moment. I appreciate you guys listening to the video. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
All right, well, there you go. Let him know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe to him if you can, you know. If you want to like my content, you know, give me a subscribe. That'd be great too. Again, thank you for the last video. That was absolutely immaculate. And other than that, follow me on Twitch. I'll see you guys in the next one.